Hey, everybody. Welcome to this program. Very special show today. We're doing a little debriefing from the cast and staff of Special Forces, if any of you saw that last night. We'll be out on Twitter Spaces as well. I'm looking at you all there. Remi Adeleke is with us again. He has an extraordinary story, and he's one of our more demanding staff members. So I'll describe Remi smiling. You can't see it, but I can. Check out the Unexpected short film. It's got picked up as a feature film, and also the Plane movie. It drops on January 13th, and we're going to talk about his new book. We've got Keijo Ware as well. You got a lot of stuff to talk about with Remi, and of course, Kate Gosselin joins us, and she needs no introduction. You guys all know Kate, and we have a very special guest, Montel Jordan, now enters the show as well. He's joining us. We're going to talk about those of us that left the program, what you didn't see, and what happened after we left. And of course, Remi will offer us some thoughts on what the staff had on their mind. We'll be right here after this.
Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying. You go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
And let's bring in my guests. Let's not waste any time here. Let's bring them all in. How is everybody? Look at you guys. Oh, it's Kate and Remi first. Okay. All right. We got the two of them at first. So I almost don't know how to approach the show. There's so much I want to talk to you. Hey, there's Montel. We only have Montel for a few minutes. So I want to start with Montel to begin with. Montel, tell the audience what happened to you with your hand and what happened after you left the camp.
Yeah, well, I end up fighting the red mist. I was told after we ran down the hill that if we came into something that seemed like it was we assessed as a threat to attack and make sure that we attacked, and then when we were told to let up. And so I come out of this hill, I think running behind Foxy or something like that, and by the time we get to the bottom of the hill, I see this big dude in this big red suit or whatever, and I attack. And apparently I don't know how to throw a good punch. So I'm throwing punches, but rather than punch with my fist balled or covered, I'm punching like this. And so literally I'm hitting over and over and over again, and literally tore ligaments on the outside and the inside of my hand. And so I tried to patch it up that day. When we got back to the base, I'm trying to get a cast. I'm trying to do something to stop this little dangling motion of not having a thumb anymore. And after the different things that we had to do with the cables, I'm thinking I got to have the use of my hands. And I didn't want to go see the medic, but I did not have the use of my hand. And so I basically spent time in a Jordanian hospital later that night. But because I could not get proper MRIs and everything, I was medically taken from the show, released from the show.
And I'm sure you were as pissed as Kate and I were that it really pisses you off. I'm sure you felt the same way.
Yeah, I was even in watching for the first time with my family and friends last night. It's tough to go back and to see and to watch. And, people are getting these seconds of moments, but I was there for 48 hours of nonstop seeing it in first person. And so when you cannot determine your time to go, it wasn't I turned my number in or I cried uncle. It was literally I could not go on. And that was very, very frustrating, not just leave, but it was frustrating even being back home trying to determine, man, I feel like I should still be there.
Yeah, I think Kate and I experienced the exact same thing. And we certainly also are very familiar with the hospital you're talking about. But we'll tell you those stories in a few minutes. But Kate, your reaction to this?
I feel exactly the way Montel felt. I mean, I still feel pissed that I got on day one. I mean, physically, I'm amazed that anyone made it through at this point. I certainly wasn't physically where I wish I would have been, but at the same time, just watching the rest of that episode and what I missed just there, I'm so pissed. I still am.
Yeah. And I texted you again. We were all together texting and on WhatsApp and stuff last night, and two things jumped out at me. One was we didn't get to see you getting so upset that you had to leave. We just saw the ambulance and you were just sort of taken away. And I really admired how you felt. I fighting to stay, and then I get it. I get how that felt. I felt the same way. And they didn't show my scene where I started crying. I started crying when I heard the suffering that the paying the man. I'll get you, Remi. It's soon enough to talk about that. But I heard them out there suffering, and I started crying because I thought I should be there. I should be with everybody, and it just yeah, you know what that means, what that felt like. And we'll tell the hospital story later. But Kate, a couple things. Last night, we also, I don't know if Montel, if you had this experience, but the fact that we didn't have the other guys with us watching the show made watching it almost more traumatic than being there.
I know.
Yeah, I would agree. I had a house full of family and friends that were tuned in, and it was crazy because I'm watching it for the first time, and I don't know if you guys had this, but I'm literally having an out-of-body experience because everything that I watched and experienced was in first person, and now I'm outside of me watching me do things. And from that standpoint, it was the people in my house, like when Nastia made it across, the house exploded with or when somebody fell and hit the water, so Kate, when you hit the water a certain way, the whole house went, oh, like it was like this. It really, it was not passive television. It wasn't passive. It was very, very interactive.
Yeah,
our house was full of people too. We had the exact same reaction when Kate fell in, and I remember us sitting on the deck going, "Oh my God, she got hurt." Remember that on and by the way, Montel.
Oh really?
But go ahead. Oh yeah, we were all like, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." But Remi and his team had. You know what you don't know is Remi and his team had already screamed at us for having any reaction to the diving, telling us that it wasn't a circus. It wasn't a circus, and we needed to calm down. And we needed military. What's the word that
military
was,
bearing,
you guys were
military bearing.
You said bearing, but there was another word that Kate and I were trying to think of the next day. When it was like decorum. It was. Yeah, I can't think of it. It was such an obscure word.
You did eventually think of it, but we used that.
I'll think of it
when we remembered it.
I'll think of it again. But Montel, I want to shine a little light on this before I have to let you go. They properly told Kate's story and her fear of heights and water, but I felt like they didn't give you, Montel, your due. I was so impressed when you dove out of the helicopter because I know you're very afraid of heights and you really are not a swimmer. And you came back and you whispered to somebody next to you, Montel, you said, I did that for my kids and my grandkids. And I was just so moved by that. And they missed that moment. There's things like that got missed. But Montel, just hats off to you, man. That was a moment.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You know what? I have to be at peace with me being there and recognizing that I think the way a friend shared it with me earlier today was that I can't let other people define what my experience was there. Other people can't understand what 120-degree heat feels like running through the desert.
That was you couldn't get that from TV.
You could not. Yeah, you couldn't pick that up.
Yeah.
And so literally it was how the story is told from 16 people being eliminated. I mean, in a perfect world, I would have liked to see myself leave differently or allow the story to be told differently. But I understand that they have to be able to make good TV, and I think they're doing that. And then at the same breath, just know that what my story was for me, it'll have to be opportunities like this for people to be able to get the behind the scenes of what the cameras may not have caught. But even you, Drew, saying that, that you remember me saying that, that is the type of things that I want the world to be able to know what's happening there, whether the cameras caught it or not.
No, I have made it my mission.
I want to jump in real quick because I want to jump in before Montel has to go. Because I was listening in on Montel's mirror room, and I heard it, and I was like, man, this story is going to blow. It's going to bless so many people. And it didn't make it in. So Montel, if you can, you know what you said, the story of why you came, share it so the world can hear what you said, or at least get a piece of what you said before you jump off.
Yeah, and I want to add to that too. Sorry, Montel, I would like to also add that I didn't necessarily, Drew told me that you said that, but you were sitting next to me. And when you came out, you were so in your head. I recognized, whoa, something's going on there. I didn't realize you were not a swimmer and you were also afraid of heights, but I looked over at you and you like crawled into your shell. And I knew then he did not do this for himself. Like something's going on there. And because like you just looked down and were like completely withdrawn into yourself.
I remember
like
that. I remember
trying
that.
to rejuvenate yourself. Do you remember that? And I remember looking at him like,
I do.
Is he okay? Is he in, or is something else going on there? Like you were like trying to like pull yourself back out. I saw that it was a huge deal for you. Huge. So
Thank you for
tell us what you said in the interrogation. I want to hear this. What'd you say?
All right, so what I said in the interrogation is actually the same thing that I said when I was running on my way to get on the helicopter. Before you got on the helicopter, you had to run through the desert, probably the eighth or a quarter of a mile, whatever, to get to that place. And me being afraid of heights, me not being a swimmer, all of those things, I'm having conversation with myself, the same thing that I said before the DS. And I said that I am here because I am a pastor that has been called to lead people in the face of their biggest fears. People that are facing cancer, people that are facing divorce, people that are facing their worst fears. And when those things come, they can't turn and run. They have to face those things head on. And so in order for me to be able to not just empathize with them, or not just be feel sympathetic for them or apathetic, I need to be able to feel the empathy of feeling what they feel. And so in order for me to lead people through their most difficult times, I need to face my most difficult times. So I'm doing this for my grandson. I'm doing this for my, for them to be able to look and say, in the face of fear, Big Papa said, I'm going to do it anyway. I'll do it scared. I'll do it afraid, because that's what a leader is supposed to do. And so that's what I said in my interrogation. And that's what I said on my way to the helicopter. That's what I said before climbing up the mountain or before scaling across the cables. Let me say this really quickly, Remi, because how they did, you guys were students. Not only were you our teachers and our DS, but you were students because you studied us to be able to know what those fears were, to be able to push us. Because before I went up on that mountain, you called me up and I stood before you before I went up on that whatever 300-foot cable, and you started speaking to me in a language that I understand. You started saying some scripture things to me, and I was like, yo, this dude knows who I am. Like, he studied me. You knew the right things to say. And so I figured if you guys did that for everybody, then they all probably had some pretty good moments before doing what they needed to do.
Do you two know that Remi was an intelligence officer in addition to everything else? So
no.
he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. We'll get into that in a minute. I'll have him review his story. This dude, you guys don't know his story. You guys don't. I know his story. You need to. I'm going to make him review it a little bit because it's so impressive. But part of it is becoming an intelligence officer. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, okay. now I get it. That's why. So, but Montel, I promised you out by quarter after, so I will say goodbye to you. It's great to see you, my friend, and hopefully you'll gather with us soon here in Southern California. We'll have a chance to meet up with you, my friend.
I appreciate that, and hey, thank you. Yeah.
Where do you want people to go? Give all your plugs right now.
Oh, basically, anybody wants to find me can find me at Masterpiece Church. We have my wife and I, we do a house church, which is a phenomenal thing for people who can't go to a local church for whatever reasons. And it's Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or anything else is at Montel and Kristen, MONTELLAND That's for IG. That's for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Twitter, everything is Montel and Kristen.
Website also Masterpiece Church. Go ahead.
That is correct. Masterpiecechurch.com.
Montel, I have one last question. Did you get Kate. Popeye's one good time?
I can't believe you remember that.
Oh yeah, in the desert. I just got to do it one more time.
Got to hit Popeye's one good time. Just got to hit Popeye's one good time. That's it. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Kate, you are
wonderful. Brother.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Drew. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Montel.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, man. See you.
All right, brother.
And Remi, it's interesting to me that you guys sort of picked Montel out as an extraordinary person. The way the behind the scenes stuff, we see you, the staff talking. Yeah. I bet you guys were not happy when he had to go.
Yeah, we were all really upset because, just same with Kate, same with, we hate to see, same with you, we hate to see people have to go for medical reasons, because it just stops the process. But at the same time, like I've tried to tell everybody, ask everybody first, why do you come to the course? And when they say why they came to the course, it's like, that's your win. Your win is coming here, realizing what you need to work on, beginning the steps towards working on that, whatever that may be. And that's the win. It's not getting to the end, but it's still, for us, it's still sad to see people go prematurely.
And we had sort of an unexpected win. Well, I had two wins personally. One was I was just thrilled all day long. I thought, this is just awesome. This is amazing to go through this. And then all of a sudden I was out of my head and didn't know what was going on. But the other thing was the friends we walked away with, the relationships and stuff. That was a big unexpected. And it didn't matter how long we were in there. This is the odd thing. We all got bonded up even if we were there for a few hours. It's very odd. Yeah. And and Kate kind of pointed it out. It didn't get on TV. There's a lot of stuff didn't get on TV that were sort of poignant. Yeah. She knows what I'm talking about. We were at lunch after you guys blew us up and ran us through the desert and everything. And we were sort of all stunned walking through lunch quietly. And Kate's voice, she looks up and she goes, guys, look at us. They have changed us already. And we all were like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Yeah. That was like 4 hours in. So
it was 4 hours in, but I just had this feeling pressing down on me all of a sudden, like we already felt like this integrated group that knew each other forever, weirdly. And I just had to say it out loud and nobody disagreed. It was, and it was really kind of strange to, like, I was like, really? Like 4 hours in? Yes. 4 hours in, I completely felt different. Like the sand no longer bothered me, which I thought was going to be this huge issue. The heat, it wasn't great, but it was like, we deal with it. Like all these different factors already like made me feel different. And I thought, if we did this in 4 hours, what is, 4 days, 8 days going to look like? I wish I could have seen that.
And that's the thing about suffering, with suffering, and when you suffer as a community, it just strengthens the bond, and that's the same thing in SEAL training. All the guys that I suffered with, like, we are bonded to this day. It's an unbreakable bond when you have a shared suffering. It's something that, it's hard to explain until you've experienced it. Like you all have experienced it, even if it was suffering for a few hours together, were able to bare your soul to each other and confide in each other and just be authentic. And I think that that's why it creates such a strong bond, is because there's a level of authenticity that comes out of each person in the midst of adversity. And that vulnerability that kind of brings everyone together in a permanent way, in my opinion. So, but on that note, Kate, I was able to walk you into your mirror room as well. So I heard your story. And the hard thing about, the show, because again, everyone has to remember, the cameras are rolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's only going to be, 10 hours of episode on TV. So that's just a fraction of a day of filming. But, your mirror room wasn't able to make it in either. But I'd like for you to share a bit of what you shared in your mirror, because again, one of the reasons why I decided to sign on to the show and do the show was because I love that it was a show that can watch, see themselves in you all, the recruits, and then receive some form of healing or, some ideas on how to get through what they're going through. And you shared a lot of amazing stuff as it relates to your past and why you came. So if you don't mind, just for the world, who didn't get a chance to see that mirror room, if you could share a bit, if you're open to that.
I remember, I think since then, even I've had even more feelings, but I think the main gist of it was, I've done a lot of TV. I used to be really physically fit and a go-getter and really motivated and whatever. And I think one of the main things that I discovered was that I've become complacent and I'm sort of letting myself go. Well, you're getting older or whatever. And even since then, since coming back from the show, I'm back at the gym. I'm running not a ton of miles, not marathons again, but I have prioritized my, so many parents, moms just focus on their kids and what your kids need. And I forgot, like, I'm a person too, and I need to get back in the gym. Physical fitness to me equals mental fitness, and all of those go so hand in hand. And I felt like when I went in, my brain would be able to carry me through the physical parts. And I was horribly horrified, even just watching last night. Like, I was so out of shape. It's horrifying. And I mean, I used to be more fit than any, my kids would say, Mom, like, you're the most fit mom. My kids are sitting here nodding. They're listening. You're the most fit mom, in our class. Like, I was really proud of that. Like, I could do anything. I ran 10 miles every day. It wasn't a big deal. I could keep up with my kids, and I let myself go. So I have held myself accountable since coming back. I've lost 15 pounds. I'm, better for it. And I'm continuing, because I was horrified. I once thought that, my physical strength was up there. Now, I wish I could have stayed longer to test, because I am mentally strong. I mean, I had sextuplets where, a lot of that laying on bed rest for 24 weeks. If you tell your brain, look, I'm done, you'll go into labor. I mean, it's just done. I had to talk out loud to myself every day, not today. Every morning I would wake up and I would out loud say, nope, today is not the day, knowing that I would never get them to a safe place to be born where they weren't premature. I know that's where I learned that your brain will respond to what you tell it. You tell it, I'm tired, I can't work out today. You're going to be tired, you can't work out. It's saying, no, go. I've adopted a saying, something's better than nothing. Show up at the gym, something is better than nothing. And I'm getting back to that, because I used to be a really crazy, psychotic, runner, where I'd say, I can't feel, my legs are burning. I don't care. Run to that tree. I don't want to. Do it. And that's how I used to operate. Sounds a lot like you, right, Remi? And, and the truth is, I used to be that way for myself, and I let that go. And so I'm thankful for this wake-up call for me to say, nope, it's time, get moving. And so that was really,
it reminds me. also one of the headlines of this show, which is that women are
That's
freaking
awesome.
tough. They're so tough. You guys are so tough. Yeah, you know, I think Susan. I have a feeling Susan's over there crying because she had triplets, and the whole sextuplet story.
I didn't have 6 though. She wins.
But women are freaking tough, and you know, people that I going in, there were a couple of people I was like, I wonder how she's going to do it. Like, no problem. She is just tough.
I know.
And you know, that's one of the headlines from the show for me. But just to put a little highlight on your self-care and stuff, I found myself doing sort of the same thing, and also in my head is, you know, just one more. You can always do one more, which is you guys. You're in my head. You're in my.
You are. Thank you.
But a friend of mine, Peter Attia, who's those of you that know him, he's a longevity specialist. And I had dinner with him a couple weeks ago, and I was sort of quizzing him about longevity. I was like, what about metformin? What about this? What about this dietary thing? And he finally looked at me and he goes, vigorous exercise. Vigorous exercise is what contributes to longevity. That's it. Vigorous exercise. And I thought, God, he's just right. He is right. And that's an important message of this whole thing. Yeah.
And it's crazy how much it makes you. It makes you feel better. Like, it's amazing how, you know, the studies that say that, you know, so many times a week working out is equal to an antidepressant. Like, it literally wakes me up. And I forgot that. I forgot because I had done it consistently for so many years. And then you kind of stop COVID and all that. You slow down and you start realizing, like, I feel like crap. I look like crap. Like, and once you know, kind of click into that again, I'm like, oh, yes. Okay, this is it. And so I've just committed to, and I'm thankful for the show for a million reasons, but that is one of them. It was a wake up call of, you know, you can't fake it till you make it when you're out of physical shape. Like, you've just got to do the work and get in there and do it. And I've loved that voice that sounds a lot like Remi and the other staff saying, one more lap. I did it today. I was like, one more lap, just because this is what I do to myself in my head. And I'm like, well, I've done all I want to run. No more lap because you can. Well, I can't. Yes, you can do it. And that head
always
is back.
One more.
That's back. And I love that.
Good.
Hey, Kate, you know what can motivate you too? You can imagine that shark is biting your leg off.
Yeah, Remi. I saw that in the one preview, and I was like, I didn't hear you say that in real life, but when I saw that, I was like, I was probably just too busy. I was like, oh my gosh, that is the best line. I didn't even think of sharks.
And Remi, I've just realized I owe you a little bit of an explanation too. I did not come back to do the Mirror Room interview. I was offered it, and to me, it felt like I was. It was so unfortunate that I was just out. It felt like television to come back. You know what I mean? It didn't feel authentic to me. It was like, God, it happened to me. It sucked.
Yeah,
that's it. It just sucked, and I really had nothing to say about it.
You would have shared that. Share what you would have shared if that situation didn't happen. Like, because
what would you have asked me? What would you have asked me?
We would have. Well, how do you think you're doing so far? That'd have probably been the first question, and then the second question would have been, why are you here? You know, but now, granted, you have to put yourself in the mindset of, I'm tired, I'm beaten down. You know, I know. Like, whatever goes.
Yeah, there is that. That's true. You get kind of that way, but you know, I would have said what I said before: is when I'm pushing back the clock, and I ran right into it because I blinked, and I'm pissed. I should have known better. I should have watched my fluids. I should have been on top of that. And it's nobody to blame but me. You know what I mean? And I was preoccupied with a lot of other stuff, granted, but I should have known better. And I blinked, and I'm just furious about that. And how do I think I was doing? When I got out of the tank, the Red Sea, and climbed up, and you know, you asked, how'd you think? Do you remember telling me how when you always ask, how do you think you did on that jump? And I was like, well, you know, I kind of backflip. I mean, and you looked at me, you essentially said, "Shut up!" It was a perfect dive, and then sit down. And I was like, "Whoa, this is the greatest day of my life." And those moments. So although it was hard, I was completely into it. I was ready to go. I was just completely into it all day long. It's just the greatest thing. And as I said in one of the interviews, I felt more alive.
I was gonna say, why did you come to?
I don't. I don't know that there was something I wanted to get out of it. I wanted to shine a light on what you guys did and put myself in that position to show how extraordinary it is what you guys do. But I ended up wanting just to be with my peers. I just wanted to suffer with my peers. That's all I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to get out of it. And especially when I was sitting in that damn medical office, hearing everybody paying the man, I just started crying. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. And so that experience, I guess, maybe put more of a light on it for me. Is I wanted to be there suffering with my peers and support them and get as far as I could, whatever that meant. And I just ran right into, misery. And Kate and I had a whole experience in the hospital. We'll tell you about if you want to hear about it.
You have to talk about
I like to hear it.
and how you ended up in the hospital.
Okay, in a second. There's one other thing I want to say, and that the next day, Kate and I left the hospital together. We were in ICU beds next to each other, and we left the hospital the next day together, mostly because we demanded to get out, both of us. She's an RN, I'm a physician. Things got very scary in that hospital for us, and so we were like, we are out. We are getting out of here. And she told me a story about something you did that really stuck with me. Do you know what that story was? Where Remi took his glasses off and spoke to you? Do you remember that, Kate? That story?
Mention it.
Do you want to? I'll let you tell it.
Well, Remi, you were the one that said, "Look, we're withdrawing you." And remember, I cried and I said, "No, please, I'm not done." And I think the thing that I really hung on to and I really appreciate you for is the fact that you said you actually took your glasses off and you were like, "Kate, are you going to be a Navy SEAL? Is that what you want to do with your life?" And I was like, and I was like,
the best.
Well, no. Best. And he goes, "Right. So you're never going to do this. You got to be healthy for them. We really can't take a chance on this." And I was like, "I know, but I really wanted to finish. And you were like, "Okay, finishing is great, but the truth is you've already won." Exactly what you said earlier. You did the scariest thing. And that's when I realized that you did research on us, because you knew that this was the thing that I said I was most afraid of. And I was oh, you're actually right. And in all the future days, even just laying in the hospital where I was thinking about how it really sucks that I'm here after day one, how horrifying and embarrassing, I went back to your words of saying, but you conquered your biggest thing. You came here and said a jump from a helicopter into water was the top of the line, because I had watched a few seasons of the British version. So that's the thing that kept taunting me the worst, thinking, crap, if we've got to do that, I just don't know. And I did it. I did it because I knew I was not going to show up on day one and be like, I'm not doing that. I remember coming around the corner in the helicopter circle that we made, and I remember freaking out. And this gives me chills to this day, because I at some point shut my brain down and said, I have news. You're doing this so you can turn everything else off, because we'll be doing this. Do you know that is the first time, it gives me chills, first time in my life that I actually was able to get a hold of myself in my greatest fears and say, bar none, this is happening. And after that, I did not question myself, because my brain had given me orders and I did it. And that's what actually makes me upset, to think, what else could I have tried? Because I'll look at that wire crossing and think, never in a million years. But I also said never in a million years to the helicopter originally.
Yeah.
So anyway, I appreciate you saying.
Yeah, I just thought it was such a great moment. It's when you and I were eating crusts, we were eating coffee, and we were in that little coffee shop together. You remember that? Yeah, the horrible bakery thing. And you told me that story, and I was like, Jesus, I don't think it's ever going to leave me, this story, because it was just such the right thing to say to somebody.
Yes,
it was. It was just exactly right. And I thought, wow, what a crazy experience we've had, and how you guys know so clearly what to do in these moments.
And also how human Remi was suddenly. Well, Remi, you became human in that moment to me. Remi became human to me in that moment. You're staff and scary as you be, and you are. Words. But when you took your glasses off and you were talking to me like a real person, that meant that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, but he knew when to do that. That's the extraordinary thing.
That comes from because to us, I don't see this as a TV show. I would not have done it if it was TV, if it was entertainment.
Right. Me either.
The reason why I signed up for it in the UK, because I worked on the UK version before this, and then the UK version got picked up to be what it is now, is because when I watched it, I was like, this is real. And my whole life after I turned 28 that's when I decided life is no longer about me anymore. It's about how can I use everything I have to be a blessing to other people. And when I saw that that's what this show was about, it was about using not exploiting being a Navy SEAL, not, showing, hey, look at me, I'm a SEAL, but being able to background, my life experiences to give to other people. That's when I was like, okay, if you guys are going to let me do that on this show, then I'm in. And you're a human being. Dr. Drew's a human being. I mean, at the end of the day, put the SEAL stuff aside, the TV stuff, camera, we're all human beings, and that's how we try to deal with everyone in the realest, rawest form, because it isn't about the cameras for us. It's not. No. It's about the people.
So I want to take a quick break.
That was the easiest part for me.
What was that, Kate? The easiest part?
I just said that was the easiest part for me because everyone was like, this is a TV show. My show, a reality show, I never noticed the cameras from day one. And they always said that is so rare. Like I'd be raving like a lunatic and whirl around and the camera guy was right. And I go, oh, like shocked that he was there. So for me, I wanted it to be real as well. And I knew I'd be able to, like some people aren't able to forget cameras are there. You got me as real as could be. And I was appreciative that the show, when I showed up, actually, like you said, was real. It was real. It was like the cameras were like 100th of the list of our concerns.
Yeah.
And let me remind people, you can follow Kate on Twitter at Kate Plus My 8 with the number 8 at the end. And the website is caseplusmy8.com. I'm going to take a little break. And when we get back, here's what I want to do. I want Remi, you to tell us about your current projects. Then I want you to sketch your story, because I don't think Kate knows your story, if you don't mind sketching it. And then Kate and I think Susan has some questions. I can feel her over there. So she got into this show yesterday. And then Kate, you and I are going to tell our story of terror in the hospital, which was extraordinary. We'll be right back.
All right.
For a long time, I've been talking about the holy grail of skincare, Genucel, and the amazing results that both Susan and I have seen. I'm a big fan of Genucel's Silky Smooth XV. It's a moisturizer soaked right into my skin instantly, and with its immediate effects, I saw fine lines and wrinkles visibly disappear within 12 hours. Susan loves Genucel's vitamin C serum, infused with the purest vitamin C, absorbs to the deepest layer of the skin thanks to Genucel's proprietary skincare technology.
I am a snob when it comes to using products on my face. The dermatologist makes a ton of money from me. But when I was introduced to Genucel, I was so happy because it's so affordable and it works great. I was introduced to the Ultra Retinol Cream, which I love at night. All the eye creams are amazing. People notice my skin all the time, and I'm so excited because it's actually working.
And right now, Genucel has bundled my favorite products and Susan's for you to try today for up to 60% off retail pricing. That's right. Save up to 60% on my favorite Genucel products today. Just go to Genucel.com/Drew to see what's in our bundles and receive an extra 10% off at checkout when you enroll in their personal concierge at checkout. That again is Genucel.com/Drew, GENUCEL.com/DREW. My guest is Philip Patrick. He is a precious metal specialist, trains at University of Redlands. He has spent years as a wealth manager at Citigroup, and his current position is with Birch Gold Group. So gold has always been somewhat of a safe haven, particularly in times of great turmoil, much like our present moment, I imagine.
Gold has always traditionally been a safe haven asset. Gold specifically has always been about wealth preservation, right? Gold has always held its buying power. You can look at as far back as you like in history. In biblical times, 1 ounce of gold would buy somebody 400 loaves of bread. And today it does the same thing. So it's a store of value. But I would say in times like this, as you mentioned, it's particularly important when you're dealing with things like 40-year high inflation, the air that's coming out of a stock market bubble. These times in particular tend to drive gold and silver up quite significantly. If things are different, the solution needs to be different as well. So I encourage everyone to get informed, and we have a lot of good information here to help your listeners.
Just a reminder, I am not a financial advisor, and I do not give out financial advice nor investing advice. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of satisfied customers. Check them out now. Visit birchgold.com/Drew and secure your future with gold. Do it now. Whoops, sorry. Back with Remi Adeleke and Kate Gosselin. And guys, just got a note from Fox during that break. Congratulations. It was the #1 new series for mid-season and 14 million viewers.
Yes.
So,
Wow.
Bravo.
That's awesome.
So let's keep it going. I'm not surprised. So Remi, what are you working on now? Where can people find you? Tell us about the project. Susan, you had some questions about the organ transplant, about trafficking and stuff too, right? No.
Well, I made a joke, but about going into the hospital and
that's
maybe
different. We'll
having
get to that.
an organ removed.
We'll get that.
But I want you to talk about Jamie Lynn, okay? How she came into play
all right.
here.
First, let's have Remi talk about what he's doing now, where we could find you, what your projects are.
Yeah, so Kate, I got a mission for you.
You have what?
A mission.
I was saying I got a mission for you. We're going to go on a mission together. We'll get a mission done.
Okay.
I got a film coming out next week, Plane. So that hits theaters next week with Gerard Butler, Mike Coulter, and a few other great actors.
Wow.
So that
Congratulations.
That's going to be thank you. They actually played the trailer during the show last night. They played the trailers for Plane. Yeah. So
we must have
that
been
movie
texting
comes
then.
out. Yeah.
The group was all together texting.
Remi.
Okay, probably texting during the commercials.
Yeah.
Remi, is that the one? That's the one from Lionsgate that's coming out on January 13th. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
If you want, I actually
film.
your team sent me a 30-second clip. If you want me to play it real quick.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah,
right, I'll play it right
is
now.
that the one with me in it, or is that the one?
I'm actually not sure. It's the 30-second clip that your team sent. So it's from Plane.
You can tell us about it after we watch it, like a real talk show.
Here we go.
Wait, my screen is frozen up. Make sure I can see it.
We're cutting right through the top of the storm.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. We've gone down on an island. This is an emergency. My passengers, my responsibility. I better go after them.
You're gonna need this.
The clock is ticking.
Let's go!
Gerard Butler in Plane. Only in theaters January 13th. Rated R.
That is incredible, dude.
Was that you with a gun?
I couldn't see it, guys.
Oh, so sorry.
Her screen froze. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, my screen is frozen up.
Yeah, that actually happened to me a few seconds ago. My screen froze too. But yeah, that's actually the trailer that they played last night during the thing. But Brad should have sent you a clip of one of my scenes from the film. If he didn't, I'll get you that for next time. But that film drops out next week with Lionsgate, and then the film that I came on last time to talk about, The Unexpected, that got picked up to be a feature film. We just closed on financing for that. We're going into casting in the next 2 weeks. I'm directing that film. We're gonna have some major stars in that, and that's gonna be a cool thriller. But it's really going to build upon what you all saw in the short film as a sequel.
That's awesome.
And yeah, thank you.
You know what the Plane reminds me of? That whatever happened to MH370.
Yeah, a little bit.
I always had fantasies that's what happened.
Yep. That's why people will be interested in it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And
so what's
are
our
you going to
mission?
do any more? Yeah. What's the mission?
What's that?
He's kidding, I hope. She wants to know what our mission is. He's got to think about it. He was just kidding. Are you going to be in any further future episodes of Special Forces, do you think?
If it gets picked up for a season 2, then yeah, we'll have some talks and see how it works out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it it's all as you know, it's all about ratings. It's all about ratings. If the ratings hold,
absolutely.
I'm open.
And there's so much for us to talk about with the staffs. It's what I keep saying. We need to do a reunion show with all of us. We can talk about all the stuff that didn't get on camera, what you guys were thinking, what we were thinking. Like for me, for Remi, it's interesting. If you remember, Kate, when we were first in the parade courtyard, We had a lot from Rudy that day, right? Rudy was telling us what was going to happen, who he is, who introduced everybody. And then if you remember, I'm laughing because I had such a reaction to it. For some reason, you saw something, Remi saw something, and he kind of pushed, he kind of went, he sort of, if you see me pushing a little aside to Rudy, like, hey, let me step up. And he stepped up, and I just had this huge reaction. I just went, that guy. I want to listen to that guy. And whatever that guy's got to say. And you started, and he goes, now hold still, hold still, stand straight. And I forget what you said next, but all of a sudden you go, hey, I see a lot of squirming around out there. Stand still. And it just cut through.
Well, what happened was, so what happened was with that, they cut so much, as you know, because you all know that parade square was a lot longer than what it was set, made out to be on TV. And people kept moving for like 10 minutes, whether it was a fly, whether it was like, somebody scratching
rookie
themselves
mistake.
over their hair. Yeah.
Rookie mistake is all I'm going to say.
So I finally said to myself, okay, I got to get involved here because I need to bring them all down to reality, to realize where they are. They're not in, their world anymore. So, yeah.
Well,
I
let me
was
ask
so
this.
mad
I have a
about that
question.
because I was like, have you not seen one episode of any other of the British version? You don't move. I was so
yeah.
Right. That's what I was thinking too. I knew what military decorum was. I thought you guys, and maybe I wasn't still enough. I thought, but the interesting thing, did you have planned for the water dunk at that point? Because we hadn't seen it. We didn't know what that was. You were all of a sudden in the water, like, water, where's that? But did you have that? Was that pre-planned that was going to happen right then, Remi?
No. The reality is we don't really plan anything. Like it's we don't script out, plan out anything. It was all
interesting.
Like you guys drive the script. Like we are just reacting off of what you do. We know that the dip tank's there. We know that there's sand everywhere. We know we got logs in the corner. We know we got monkey bars. We got all the tools that we need to make you all feel pain. We have them at our disposal. It's how you respond and what you do. If you do what you're supposed to do, then we'll have the brief. You go into your tent, change. We already got the shock and awe which was another thing that was cut out because you all know that after you got off the train, there was a lot that happened between the train and between that parade square. But that was all cut out as well. So for us, it's not about we have this plan, we're going to do this. We don't really know what we're going to do. We're going to, we have our standards, and if you operate within those standards, then we move on to the next thing. If you don't operate within those standards, then you got to pay the man. And that's what that was pretty much an introduction to paying the man that wasn't planned.
Then if you don't pre-plan it, we didn't see a whole lot of talking amongst you. So how, like whoever has the floor amongst you at that time kind of runs that next thing, or do you know what I'm saying? We didn't see a whole lot of.
For us, it's in special operations. The cool thing about special operations, whether you're a British, American SEALs, American Delta, American whatever, we all are. A lot of what we have gotten from our special operations community, a lot of it comes from the SAS, right? But then there's a lot of things that the SAS takes from us. So we have this, it's weird. We gain this ability to read and react off of each other.
Yeah.
Like we learn that in training.
Yeah.
And then when we go overseas, it's just automatic. Like I can embed with a British SAS unit because our tactics are pretty much similar. We'll be able to read and react. We know when, I'm laying down cover fire. I don't have to tell you to move. You already hear me laying down cover fire. You're going to move. It's all of these standards that are beat into us over the course of years to the point where I could, even when I did the first season with the UK guys and Britain, afterwards the recruits were like, I would have thought that you guys knew each other from somewhere because you guys work so well together. It's just like, no, it's this suffering.
It's like an orchestra.
So it's innate. Like you talk because you didn't need to talk. Like they knew, we were moving, what was coming next, what was like that. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, Kate, after Remi threw us in the tank, the British guys kind of the ones that stepped forward and said, "All right, into the sand."
Right.
Remember?
Right.
It was sort of a. It's an improvisation.
It was an A, B, C. Yeah. Isn't that impressive? Because we would have thought. I mean, we would have thought that was all pre-planned. Like, honestly, that's how it looked. Like Drew was saying. Wow.
None of it is planned. Even the stuff that happened at the wire crossing. Was it the wire? The rope crossing, like the stuff with Dwight, laying on the ground, and having it, that wasn't planned. Even the stuff with Danny Amendola that was cut out. But Danny Amendola had to do the bear crawls with Dwight, and the other stuff that happened there at the canyon. None of that was planned. It was It's just you give us the material, and we just make a cake with it.
And Susan Susan wanted us to review Jamie Lynn Spears' experience on that day one when you guys gave her. There's a recruit that's responsible for communicating with the staff every day and also running the food and running the toilets and everything. And she was number one and was given no instruction. She had to just figure out what it was. And I just thought she was really impressive.
The look on her face when she found out she was in charge, she's like, "Yes, staff," and then she kind of like,
I don't know. I guess I'm good at it. I guess I can do this.
Well, because remember, she was hoarse. She had no voice. And I remember her saying, of all people, they gave me this on day one and I can't talk. I mean, the poor thing, she was like.
They did not put I feel it's another thing they missed on TV because it was actually super comical. Was her standing at the rock going, yes.
And Remi, I think it was you, Remi, I think, that came out and said, if you can't talk, you have to put your big girl pants on and find somebody who can talk for you. And I was like,
I was there with you. We were weighing. I think we were weighing our packs or something. We were weighing our packs, something like that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't.
Which is another thing that no issue was made of that. For us, that was a really big deal on that day, trying to get our packs the right weight and the water situated and all that stuff.
It was in kilograms and not pounds. We
had all this problem
and everyone was like, what's the conversion? I was like, it's 2.2. Someone looked at me and said, are you positive? I said, 100% positive. But all that, there was just so much.
But and Jamie Lynn is the one. So when I was I'm gonna say it just so I've said it because I'm so appreciative to her. When I was really out of it neurologically, and she's the one that dragged me. And I wanted to hide that. I was trying to hide it from everybody, and people kept going, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And Kate, and whatever. Yeah. And
same with me.
Same. Yeah, and Jamie Lynn is the one that then grabbed me and went, "You're going in. We're going to the medic." And I don't really remember it because I was so out of it.
No, she said she saw you sitting outside, and she goes, "He didn't look very good."
Yeah, they didn't show it on TV.
So she took him in and made him go in, and then that was it. But basically, Jamie Lynn Spears saved Drew's life.
Yeah, I want a T-shirt, and not just to pay the man T-shirt, but Jamie Lynn saved my life. I want that one.
Well, Nastia did that for me. Nastia did that for me. You, Drew, you kept saying something to me. And remember, I was dry heaving over the side of that little shade thing. And Nastia finally said, okay, so are you going to go or am I going to go for you? And I was like, my choice is, I guess I'll go. Will you go with me? And that's when she made me turn myself in because I kept thinking, oh, it's fine. Remember, I had a headache and then my neck hurt and then I started dry heaving and you guys were like, this is not good. This is not good.
Yeah, no. The fear is that you were having that you could have either a posterior bleed, right, from hitting your head, or there's this syndrome. There's this syndrome of essentially what's used to be called foie à la joinine, which is a problem with the venous circulature in the spine can tear, and it all sounded bad to me. And as you were getting worse, I was like, oh no, this is not. This is not okay.
I mean, and it painted such a picture. It painted such a picture of a head or neck injury because I started dry heaving and never stupid in 110 degree weather. Never did I realize that was dehydration setting in because they just kept saying, oh my gosh, you're so dehydrated. Yeah. But of course, starting to throw up with a suspected head injury as a nurse, I remember secretly thinking, this is not good. You need to go do something. And I was like, but I'm not done. But I was like, but this is not good. I knew the things it could mean. But even so, I was trying to hide it like you did. Crazy. Yeah.
And I gotta say, just to add to kind of touch on what you all said, like that's the stuff that for us as DS that we really like. Because we don't know what's going on in the tent. we don't have eyes on what's going on in the tent, the bathrooms, the galley where you all eat and all that. When you're in the vehicles, we don't see any of that. We don't hear any of that. Right. We don't know any of that stuff. So watching the show, it's an experience for us, because then we're able to say, oh, that's what happened. That's how Dr. Drew ended up going to the medical, and that's what happened with Kate. And that's, so we're able to see all of that, and it's really eye-opening for us. And in some ways also confirms some things that we were thinking. We're like, so.
Thank you for not crossing off Drew's face like you did to Kate, though. We were all sitting there watching. We go, we're going to cross off your face now.
I was really traumatized by that. I have to say, I was really traumatized by that. My kids gasped when that happened. I was like, mental picture. I'll never be able to erase it.
That was pretty
you're going to see that happen to a lot more recruits. There's a lot more recruits that are going to get X. So,
I'm sure. A lot more X's coming.
So I want Drew to paint the picture, and maybe Kate can embellish the ride to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I had a different ride. Than Kate. Well, I promise I will get to that. First, Remi, sketch your story, because I don't think Kate knows it, and I think the audience needs to hear it too. Just, you can do an abbreviated version, but your story is so incredible.
You've got like 15 minutes.
I know, and I'll tell
I'll be super short. In short, I was born in Africa. My dad was super rich, wealthy Nigerian engineer, philanthropist, royalty. He's a Yoruba. My last name, Adeleke, actually means the crown is supreme. Ade Remi actually means the crown has appeased me. So I was born into a lot of rich and wealth. Long story short, Nigerian government pretty much took all my dad's assets. He died days later. We went from rich to poor. Mom moved my brother and I to the Bronx, New York. Grew up in a not nice, so nice area. Got involved in the selling drugs in my teen years and doing other crazy stuff. Ended up, having to join the military because I had no other choice. Had warrants out for my arrest. My recruiter got my record expunged, snuck me into the Navy. And that's when I decided.
Wait, stop. I got to tell a little more. Hang on. This piece here, I got to put a letter. Yeah, you really abbreviated it too much. He saw a movie about the Navy SEALs and said, I want to do that. Went to a recruiting office, and the recruiter essentially said, A, you don't swim. B, you have 2 outstanding felonies in 2 different states. How are we supposed to? And she walked him into the courtrooms in New Jersey and New York. I want to pay this woman proper respect, because I know you had deep love for her, Remi, and got the judge to say, we'll give you a chance on this one. He taught himself to swim. He went through the Navy SEAL training, failed the first time, passed the second time, and then became an intelligence officer. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it. That's good. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Please tell me you've written about this.
Yeah. My book is actually right here.
Chameleon, right?
Let's see. Transformed memoir.
I still can't see you. Tell me the name of it.
Drop it down a little bit. There you go.
It's called Transformed, and it just got picked up to be a movie. We're going to do a big announcement in the next few weeks or so. We got a lot of big people attached to it. It's going to be a big movie.
Holy cow, Remi! That is a crazy story. I'm blown away. Okay, I'm definitely following and getting. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just so pleased to be a part. Yeah, just to have been a little piece, a fly on the wall of your story is an honor.
True.
Thank you.
So you really live. I mean, you. Money where your mouth is. Like, you're not just saying this stuff. Like, you've lived it.
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's been a crazy journey. Yeah.
Wow.
So speaking of crazy journeys, I promised Susan that we would talk about our hospital adventure, and Remi, we're going to subject you to this. So she wants me first time with the ambulance. So what was the there's the book. You've got a good picture of it here. What was the paramedic's name? Anybody remember? Not the woman, but the young man. Do you remember, Remi, who the paramedic was?
Yes. I just thought of it earlier today.
Well, blurt it out when you think about it, but he traveled in the ambulance with me.
Dr. Jamie?
No, it wasn't Jamie. It was the paramedic. It was not the physician. It was the paramedic. Anyway, what is it?
Jamie was the other paramedic. Jamie.
No, Jamie was the physician. Jamie was the doctor.
Oh.
And then there was an actual male paramedic. and he had to, because I had to go through the sand dunes to get to a road in that little ambulance, he had to lie on top of me to keep me from flying off the gurney. That's how crazy the ride was through the desert. And
wait, Drew, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Was your ambulance the same as mine? You saw my ambulance on the show. Was
so.
it like that?
I think so.
Because we tried to describe our ambulances, and I didn't know what mine looked like on the outside. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I had to know that.
I think I couldn't tell. I was so out of it. I really couldn't tell. I just know it was tiny on the inside, and that this young man was lying on top of me to keep me from flying off the thing. And there were military stops along the way. We kept getting these military officers throwing the whole thing open and shining lights on me. And the staff would run out of the ambulance and say, "Don't look him in the eyes." I go, "What? What's happening?" I have no idea what's going on. Finally, we get to the hospital, and the paramedic was still with me, and I begged him not to leave because it was kind of, I just couldn't figure out. My head was not working, and got into my room next to Kate in the ICU at the military hospital in the King's Wing. Right, we were in sort of the King's Wing thing.
Oh yes, and we were in the important people wing.
Yeah, and I immediately threw my clothes off, and that was it for me seeing nurses. Once I had my clothes off, the nurses wouldn't come back in my room, which was fascinating, or at least rarely would come back in my room. They didn't have IV pumps. They just had the little rollers from back in the day, so I managed my own fluids, and I knew I needed a lot of fluid, and I was sort of watching what they were doing with the sodium content of the bags, and it took me 5 liters before I could stand up again. So 5 liters of IV fluid before I could really stand up. Isn't that wild? And I was kind of going in and out neurologically, and I'd wake up and my blood, but the bag would be empty and blood would be all the way back into the IV bag. And I'd be like, can you guys at least change my IV bags? You had the same thing, Kate?
Same.
That was crazy to me. That was super crazy.
Yep, same.
That they weren't even watching the IV bags.
No, well, it could I mean, you could lose your sight. I mean, it just goes back through, and it's like infection, everything. And same with me. Yeah. So I was watching that. Yeah, it was it was hard to sleep, even though we were so tired. I was also very dehydrated, obviously not as dehydrated as you, but it was hard to sleep because they would come in and I'd have to know what they were doing, because just even being a nurse, I was like, what are you doing to me? What are you giving me? They'd come in and just push stuff, and I had no idea what they were giving me. Like, they would just come in and do it.
They gave me a crazy concoction of ticarcillin with this crazy anti-pseudomodal antibiotic. I'm like, why are you giving this to me? It's protocol in the ICU. I'm thinking, really? That's how you get resistant bacteria in your ICU?
Yes,
I'm going to be a carrier. And I was like, I by that point, I'd been fighting all night with the surgical residents. We were on a surgical ward, and the residents kept coming in and wanted to take me to the operating room. They wanted to take out part of my colon because they were convinced my problem was diverticulitis.
Yikes.
And I was like, I'm not going, no. And I was like,
I think they wanted a kidney.
And then Susan, after your movie, Remi, Susan became convinced that it was organ harvesting.
But the truth is, like, they kept adding on treatments for me too, and they wanted to do all this crazy stuff. And what was the girl paramedic who I love? What was her name? Blonde hair.
I saw her. I don't remember her name. Yeah. She
would help me save
stuff.
I love her to death, and she's. I don't know.
I'm trying to look up her name. Hold on, I'll look it up right now. Charlotte.
And it's awful, like Charlotte, Dr. Charlotte. She was so awesome, and she literally stayed with me and was arguing with them because they wanted to do. I can't remember because I was in and out of it, but they wanted to do all this crazy stuff to me too. And she literally went to bat for me. I could hear her in the room. No, and very politely, we are not going to do that. Nope, I'm sorry, we are not going to do that. Yeah. And they were convinced that someone. Literally convinced all night till the next morning that someone pushed me out of a helicopter. They could not understand that I willingly jumped out and became injured. She was like, they were like going crazy, thinking someone had done this to me on purpose. And she was like, no.
I heard that by the time Montel got there, they were going, what are you doing? Is this a military operation? What are you doing to these people?
There was, and by the time it got to Montel, they were starting to catch on. Like, they were starting to say, okay, how many more people are coming?
Right, that's true.
Because they didn't know, but I was the first one. So she stood there for hours arguing.
Yeah, they got more. Did. They got more eventually. We can't talk about that yet, but we will.
Yeah, more were coming.
So and then Kate and I, they eventually convinced me to go downstairs to get a chest X-ray and an abdominal ultrasound, neither of which I need. And I went down there, and it looked like a TB ward. And I thought, well, this is how I get tuberculosis or COVID. And then lo and behold, Kate was down there getting scanned, and she got COVID.
Yep. Damn. I think we got out on Tuesday, Drew, and then we flew home. Yep. I think we both flew home Thursday, or did you go Wednesday night?
Yep. No, I think it was Thursday.
Anyway, Thursday on the way, I tested negative, obviously, because we had to test coming back. I tested negative for COVID that morning, and my stomach was upset and whatever. I was like, well, I haven't eaten in 2 days, because that's another thing. They don't feed you in hospitals over there. Yeah. And so my pants were falling down until I came back. But anyway, so I was heading home, and on the way home, the first flight, I was sicker than I have ever been in my whole life. And I ended up having 3 flights. The third one was delayed, and it was a nightmare coming home, but definitely COVID. I mean, that is exactly where I got it, without a doubt. Yeah. It was
adding insult to injury.
I mean, nobody was masked. Drew, do you remember there was this, I don't know why this sticks with me. I guess because I'm a nurse in this country, but there was they pushed me down there for 3 different scans or 3 different treatments. And there was just vomit in the middle of a hallway. It was orange. I'm sorry. I can still see it. It was by the trash can. Tons of vomit, and people just walked around it, and it was just there. Yeah. Like no one was coming to clean it up. And that's when I was
I trained. Yeah, I trained in a county hospital, and it was very familiar to me. I just felt like in the old county days when I was a medical student and resident. But I also knew how much infectious disease flew around there.
So Drew gets to finish with the part where the head surgeon comes in, or the head doctor.
So both Kate and I we had all these residents and we had attendings. And the attendings, Remi, in the middle of the night, were wearing full military garb, big brass epaulets, raspberry beret. Yeah. It's scary, guys. Yep. And in the morning, the medicine people finally saw me, and he starts lecturing me, this guy with the uniform. There are these things called electrolytes, and you needed more electrolytes. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, let me get out of here. And then they started talking in Arabic, and I heard the word CPK. And I was all night trying to figure out why I got so sick so fast. And you don't know this, but I had a calf injury going into the camp. Yeah. And I thought, God, maybe I had rhabdomyolysis or something in that calf and really didn't know it. And so when they said CPK, I went, hey, did you measure my CPK? And he looked at me stunned, and he goes, no. And I go, I was trying to figure out why I got so sick. Maybe I had rhabdomyolysis or something. Yeah. He goes, and there were a bunch of residents in the room. And he goes, my patient knows my job. He knows what rhabdomyolysis is. The patient's going to ask me about CPK. And I thought, oh my God, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here right now. And that's when you and I got out.
Well, and the other thing was the fact that, so I literally, not to detract from that, but I have a genuine question, because I was there for 2 days and they did not feed us. Do they do your family in other countries? Does your family bring you food? I'm being serious. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Because Drew, you
I don't know. I couldn't get a blanket. I got cold at one point, or I got chilled or something, and I asked for a blanket. I got it for a blanket, and they go, you need to adapt. And no blanket. Yes. And I was like, I need to adapt. But you would have been proud of Remi. They continued the suffering. Then the bond.
Yeah. Never said he was a doctor. Hey, hey, that was a prank. That was part of the program. Those were undercover DS, and we were just continuing the course for you to see how far we can go.
You were going to starve us and subject us to unnecessary surgeries and procedures.
Just so you know,
okay, got you.
Yeah.
My wife Susan insisted that she insisted that was the case. She also believes to this moment that there must have been cameras in those rooms. So there we go. Susan had it right.
There's an episode in and of itself. Then.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, I know. But listen, guys, we got to wrap this up. I really appreciate you coming in and chatting it up after the show. I want to thank you, Remi, for not just everything you do for everyone else, but what you did for us out there. It was, and none of us regret a minute of it. Every single one of it feels like we were enhanced by this experience, and we left with these great relationships, and hopefully we can share it with the world and make a difference. So Kate, thanks for coming in today. Again, Kate and I got got bonded through our bond in suffering was in the hospital, and then the next day we spent the whole day kind of debriefing each other, talking through the medical
really
part. She's an RN.
So thank you, Drew.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Hopefully Remi will come back soon.
Thank you,
We want to
Dr.
have
Drew.
a special episode.
Thank you, man.
And we want to have another special episode with you, Remi, about trafficking, as well as maybe pop in for some future tell-alls.
And Kate, if you're out here,
we'll work it out. And
Kate, you come see us. And yeah, go ahead, Remi.
I would love to.
I was gonna say, and Kate, thank you so much. It was such a blessing working with you and meeting you. And thank you. It's been a pleasure kicking it with you today on this live stream with good old Dr. Drew.
Same, right? Right back
let me
at
ask
you, Remi.
what's
I really
this like?
appreciate you.
Yeah, I know what Kate got out of this because I got the same thing. What's it like for you hearing us talk like this? What is this?
Oh yeah.
What is that experience for you?
Now it's awesome because I was able to see see you both at the beginning stages of the process, and then just to see you happier and having gotten something out of the course, and especially even after watching the show, that's so cool to see. So it's a blessing, and I feel like I bonded. And even with the last series that I did in the UK, I got a message from one of the civilian recruits from the UK show this morning, and it's a bond, just as you all create a bond within your group. Like we as DS, we create bonds with you all and want to stay in touch with you all and see how your lives progress and so on and so forth.
All right.
It's been a blessing.
Well, then that's what
awesome.
we'll do.
That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
That's what we do. The gauntlet is down.
That's
guys,
the plan.
thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank
and
you,
for everyone
guys.
else, we will see you.
Much love.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. That's for sure. We will see you on Tuesday. I'll be speaking with a Chinese scientist who had some interesting observations. This is a show dedicated to Susan, who has some concerns about that.
Oh, stop telling.
For,
you booked the guest.
But she's a real serious scientist. It's going to be very interesting.
I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to.
There we are. We also have
judgment.
Dr. Paul Alexander on January 11th and Ryan Cole coming back on February 1st. And
we had somebody on Twitch today that has watched for years. Sort of had to tone out a little bit mahjong because they said that they're a little tired of COVID talk. But thanks for coming back and watching, and we'll always try to open up new conversations as well. And
maybe
Thursdays,
we should do more
Tuesdays
special
and Thursdays.
forces stuff on Thursday. Is that
Well, yeah, I'm
Good.
hoping that we'll be able to connect with all your castmates once they're taken off. We're not allowed to really. No spoiler alerts, but I think the series is going to be very popular, and I think that you need to show the bond that you have with all these people.
We'll do it. Excellent. All right, everybody. We will see you on Tuesday. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.
Can I ask you?
Yeah,
how come
please
sometimes
ask me.
sometimes when I have to brown and the brown won't come down, but the mucus will come out? Am I just pushing too hard and the brown's not ready? And
The brown's not ready. But the mucus kind of needs to come out too, so it's okay that you.
Oh,
got
it
that.
does? Does
not
it?
everybody produces mucus, by the way. You're very
so
talented.
lucky.
So happy to hear you
Really?
do. Yeah.
Not everybody produces anal mucus.
Not everybody.
Is that the next shirt we're gonna make? Do you produce anal mucus? Do you produce anal mucus?
I don't.
You're on fire! Hold! Hold! Go, go, go!
I don't care how rich or famous they are, they've entered our world and they will play by our rules.
You will pick up a number, and that is now you.
Yes, sir!
This is not an adventure race, this is a military selection.
Let's go!
You will suffer individually and you'll suffer together. That's the only way through.
Why are you here?
This for me is just about taking back my power.
I just want to feel like I'm just like worth something.
I've become a little soft. Do I still have that fire?
Find another way!
If they don't react properly, they could die.
I don't care what anybody says, that is scary. This isn't TikTok or Instagram. You can't call your agent. No one's coming to save you.
Run back to the back! We don't quit it, you quit! Drop the attitude, now! Fight! Go!
You will learn from your pain, because pain retains.
Come on, we can do it.
I was worried about what I could get out of it, and now it's all about what I can get.
It's not about pass or fail on these tasks. It is all about what you've got in your head.
You'll be a changed person. For damn sure, you will be a better person.